What's up guys? So today I want to talk to you about the way that my training has changed in preparation for my competition. So I'm going to try and get through this chronologically. So I'll start off obviously as I start the prep for a competition, and then we'll work our way down towards the competition day. So the first and main thing that's going to really affect your training is obviously going to be your diet. In particular, the thing that's going to be affected is your carb intake. Obviously carb is your energy source. The carbs are what gives you the energy for your workout. So obviously your output levels, your energy levels, just your general motivation is going to be affected because of this. Starting up on the cut, my carbs were still relatively high, so I started about 250 grams. So the beginning of the cut is not actually quite as drastic yet. So let's talk about the actual training. The first thing that's going to change is obviously the way I structure my workouts. So if I come from like a bulk or an off season, my training is going to be totally different to a cut. So when I'm cutting, I'm looking more for higher volume. So I'm going to be doing more supersets, more drop sets, just in general higher volume. So the other thing that's going to be affected is the rep ranges. So if I was doing strength training or any kind of a bulk, I would be looking up to like 6 to 8 reps. Obviously for a cut, I'm going to be looking more towards 8 to 12, even sometimes as high as 14 reps. The reason behind that is basically on a cut, you're not trying to build strength. You're not really trying to build tissue anymore. You will still put on some tissue if your diet allows you to do so. However, you're just trying to engage your muscles, so you're trying to really work the muscles. You're trying to burn a lot of calories. Obviously, you're wanting to cut down, so you want to keep your training intense. By keeping the reps relatively high, you're going to be keeping your heart rate up. Another thing that's going to change as well is the exercise choices. So for a cut, I'm going to be looking more towards doing a lot more compound movements. I'm not going to be doing anything too fancy. It's mainly just to engage as many muscles as I can at once. Because obviously the more muscles you engage, the more calories you're going to be burning. Obviously as a bodybuilder, I'm still going to be doing a lot of isolation work. However, I'm not looking to isolate a muscle in particular to kind of get it to grow, more so than I am to just burning calories and dropping down the body fat. And obviously compound movements for that are going to be great. They're going to engage as many muscles as they can. It's just going to get you sweating and sweating. So a little tip, one thing I did starting from the beginning of my cut, about halfway into it, I was actually wearing a hoodie for most of my workouts, mainly the harder and heavier days. The reason behind this is just to get me sweating more. So obviously if I'm going to be sweating more, I'm going to be burning more calories, I'm going to be burning more fat, and that's the whole idea behind it. So if you're wanting to kind of speed things up at the beginning of your cut, I would definitely recommend to do that. Approaching towards the end of the cut, the main thing obviously is dropping your carbs, your strength is going to drop drastically. Up until like 2-3 weeks ago, my strength was still relatively okay. It was only about, as I said, 2-3 weeks ago when my strength absolutely dropped. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously bodybuilding is not about the strength that you have, it's not about the amount of weight that you can move, it's about engaging the muscles. So that's totally irrelevant. The main thing is obviously as your strength drops, just make sure to be safe. So what I mean by that is you obviously want to drop the weights that you're going to be using. You don't want to injure yourself. On a lot of movements, your joints are going to be weak. You're physically going to be weak. So you don't want to overdo it and use weights where you're in a high risk of injury. As the strength drops as well, I did increase my reps. So as I said, sometimes I did go up to 14 reps. That was mainly when my strength had dropped. So what I was trying to do when my strength has dropped, I was increasing my reps. I wasn't doing 8s anymore. I was doing literally just sets of 10. I wasn't going below that, up to 15 at times, just to keep the intensity high, just to keep my heart rate up, burn calories. That's all what it's about. When it comes to cardio, I personally don't need to do cardio in preparation for the competition or leading up to it anyway. I make sure that my weight training is intense enough so that I don't need to do cardio. I am doing cardio 2 weeks out, so I try to get cardio about 3 times a week now, just to deplete the water and just to get that little bit extra off my body. However, leading up to the show, I was trying to really get intense workouts in just so I don't have to do cardio, because in all honesty, the best thing, the most efficient way of burning fat is through weight training and not cardio. So when it comes to the last week before competition, that's the point where your body is going to be at its weakest. At that point, you know, you don't really want to be doing anything over the top. You want to be careful with your training. You want to be careful with the weights that you use. So the one thing I will be doing in the last week before my competition, I will be increasing my rep ranges as well. So I will be going from like 12 up to 20 reps. The reason behind that is, on the last week, you're trying to deplete your muscles of all the glycogen stored up, so that when you do carb up a couple of days before the show, your muscles take in all the carbs and makes them look fuller. That's the whole idea behind it. So I think that about covers everything. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I hope that you can take something from this video, maybe apply it to your own training, apply it to your own cutting, and otherwise, I hope to see you in the next video. Till the lights go out. So like